Quinn exiting, there are no black women coaches currently in the WNBA. And everybody trying to stop on each other. It's reckless for Matt to dismiss it as a cash grab. Welcome to the No Bull Podcast, or welcome back to the No Bull Podcast. I am your host, Brianna Bull, and I am bringing you everything basketball. Because if you know bull, you know ball. All right, let's get into it. Good morning. Happy Saturday. It's a fabulous day to talk basketball. Yesterday was game 1 of the 2025 WNBA Finals. First ever best-of-7 series, the Phoenix Mercury versus the Las Vegas Aces. Dun, dun, dun. The triple-double machine, Alyssa Thomas, versus the 4-time MVP, A'ja Wilson. And boy, did they deliver a basketball that was so fun to watch. I was telling my friend the other day that it was like healing. That's the type of basketball that heals my soul, apart from our Lord. But no, it was really fun. It was a real electrifying game, and it only further excited me for the games to come. Speaking of the games to come, the game 2 will be tomorrow, Sunday, at 3 p.m. Eastern time on ESPN. The Las Vegas Aces will host the Phoenix Mercury for game 2 of the WNBA Finals. So I am, again, super excited to be here. Today we have a full docket. We are going to recap the finals, game 1, and then talk a little bit about game 2, and maybe even possibly drop our predictions for the series as a whole. And then we are going to discuss Kelsey Mitchell and her current status on free agency and what the WNBA or the front house office for the Indiana Fever have said about her re-sign possibly. And then we'll talk about the current WNBA civil war. I call it a civil war between the players and the leadership of the WNBA, specifically speaking to Kathy Englebert's recent comments and in response to what Nafisa Collier has said, what Caitlin Clark has said, and numerous other players around the league have said, as I would say, call it retaliation to the treatment that they have received this year and the years prior to. But Kathy held a press conference last night just before game 1, and she had responses to the allegations, essentially, that have been called out on her character and her leadership thus far. And then we will also talk about the NBA and its free agency. I was taking a gander at it, as you know, they just dropped the top 100 players, etc. And I'm like, wait a minute, there's still some guys on the free agency that have yet to be signed. Some I feel have been the longest we've ever seen this particular player still on waivers. And we'll have a conversation about that. So without further ado, again, I'm really excited. If you haven't already, make sure you drop a like, comment. I want to hear your takes, and subscribe if you haven't already. Again, I'm Brianna Bull, the host of the No Bull Podcast. If you know bull, you know ball. Let's get into it. So, WNBA Finals. What did y'all think? Like I said, this game was, when I gave my predictions on game 1, specifically what type of battle this would be, it's a heavyweight battle. Both teams are huge. Like they play big on both ends of the ball. And we saw a lot of shot making, tons of shots being made. They were trading baskets. But on the other hand, we saw a lot of turnovers. And not just forced turnovers. These were silly turnovers. And probably on the screen here, I'm speaking to what happened for Phoenix Mercury and how they lost the game, but I also want to talk about what Las Vegas Aces did to win this game. Now, when I spoke on my last podcast, my last stream, I talked about how these two teams played each other 4 times in the regular season. And the last time these two teams played each other was in August. They played twice. But the second time they played, Dana Evans scored double digits. She led the charge in scoring for her team and overall. So it was a shock to me, but not so much of a shock to see Dana Evans again come out and have an explosive scoring night. Yet I'm curious why Phoenix Mercury didn't seem it to be important to stop this young lady. It was like she had to show them again that she's capable of scoring, and nobody on their team seemed to be able to stop her. So I assume going into game 2, Dana Evans will possibly be held to lower points if Phoenix Mercury is going to make adjustments. And I see them making the adjustments. I don't understand why they sell her short. Jackie Young didn't have her best scoring night. She was 0% from the three. But Jackie Young, I don't see her being inconsistent the rest of the series. Game 2, I think she's going to have a comeback game too. Asia Wilson, she did not look like herself. But I see that a lot with Asia Wilson in this playoffs this year, how it's either the first couple games, she might show up game 1, but she won't show up game 2, or she might not show up game 1, she'll show up game 2. She hasn't had like a consistent series thus far where she's showing up every single game and we're seeing 4-time MVP playing behavior. Thank goodness for the Las Vegas Aces bench, because without them, this team would not have won. Because what Phoenix Mercury does really well, they move the ball really well around the arc, sometimes too much to their default. And that's where a lot of their silly turnovers came from. It was like the ball had a lot of air in it. I don't know. They would bounce and then they would fumble it like they had butterfingers all night. But I could tell this Phoenix Mercury team is locked in, just their attitudes, their behavior. But upon previewing or reviewing a lot of the articles that are dropped post game and just seeing the comments of what people said, I was on a panel last night and just hearing some of the thoughts of my fellow panelists and even the comments that were dropped. I did notice a lot of people placing blame on Alyssa Thomas for this game 1 loss, despite her triple-double. And it came down to those 2 free throws at the end. And I really want to hear your all's thoughts on that. Is Alyssa Thomas the reason the Mercury lost that game 1? Now, Mercury lost 86-89. They lost by 3. Okay. Notably, the team got to the free throw line. Well, they shot 13 free throws as total. They were 10 for 13 from the field. From the free throw line. Alyssa Thomas was 1 for 4. Satu was 4 for 4. Kalia Copper was 2 for 2. And then Monique Akoa Makani was 3 for 3. So everyone else managed to hit their free throws, but their trip to the lines were few, far, and in between, as the Las Vegas Aces shot 14 from 20. So they definitely touched the line a lot. Players like Satu Sabali were almost in foul trouble, and thank God DeWanda Bonner was hitting her threes, kind of, I guess. But thank God she was showing up in some type of capacity. And her and Satu could rely on other people to hold it down for her defensively, considering her 5 fouls heading into the fourth quarter. So I want to hear y'all thoughts. Good morning. Welcome to the chat. Oh, we'll get back to that comment. Dana Evans was a problem. Phoenix wasted a bad Jackie Young game. They may be cooked. Okay. AT did not show up in the clutch. And that's where a lot of her criticism comes from, that despite her efforts to make it to finals, to make it in the playoffs, AT has yet to win that championship. So, yes, she can be effective all season and she can crank out triple doubles, but really can she be considered a superstar if she's unable to, down the stretch, make it happen for her team? My personal thoughts, I go back and forth between the two, simply because for someone to be it's similar. I think about James Harden this year and how he held it down for the team the entire regular season, and then he gets to the playoffs and Kawhi comes back and Kawhi shows up and James doesn't show up, and then James takes most of the fault and criticism for where the state of the Clippers. To some point, to some capacity, I don't like that perspective or that stand that people take. And it's like discredit all the work that AT does and everything she is for this team. This team would not even be in the finals if it wasn't for AT. But I do understand the need to hold her accountable in these moments. But that doesn't, just because she couldn't hit a free throw, doesn't take away from her greatness. I mean, if we're going to go by free throws, then is Shaq great? What about when LeBron was first starting out in his career? He wasn't shooting well from the free throw line. Some can argue he still isn't. So it's just conversations to have, and I'm glad that we are here together having them. We see a 2021 Dana Evans activated. But yes, AT did sell, so she sold in the clutch. But overall, this game didn't surprise me on how close it was, and I do not anticipate either team is going to be blowing each other out for the rest of this series. And I do hope and pray, for the sake of basketball, that we go to all the way to 7, because it would be the first time ever of best of 7 and the first time ever seeing a team go to 7, see them go to 7. I just think that would be so cool to witness and watch as a fan of not just basketball, but of the WNBA. So I anticipate the rest of the series going to be very long. I do think I wanted the Phoenix Mercury to win. I thought they were going to win, and they got in their own way. They were their own worst enemies. I hope we can see them pull out this win in game 2, because heading into game 3 at home, it's going to be a tough battle for them to come back down 2-0. It would be a tough battle for any team. However, Phoenix Mercury this season, and especially in this playoffs, have demonstrated the ability to come back, especially when they won in that explosive 20-point deficit heading into the fourth quarter against the Minnesota Lynx, and they were able to clutch and pull that game out in overtime. So while I hope they don't go into game 3 down 2-0, I do believe the Phoenix Mercury have what it takes to come back despite I do think they have what it takes to climb that uphill battle. So I'm really excited. Some other notable things I wanted to call out about this game was assist. I wanted to call out Chelsea Gray and her assist. She had 10 assists last night. She had 8 points, 10 assists. She was 2 for 7 from the field. My favorite version of Chelsea Gray is when she is a playmaker. I absolutely love seeing Chelsea Gray make plays for her team. She's so smart. She sees the pocket. She plays the pocket pass very well. She reads the court, and although I think she's a very capable scorer, she's better for a team, specifically this Aces team, when she takes the lead in charge of playmaking. And I truly enjoy watching her do that. And then for the Phoenix Mercury, I made this comment yesterday, but I want to make it one more time. DeWanna Bonner taking 7 threes, I think, is unacceptable. I don't think DeWanna Bonner should be taking more than 1 3 a game. I just don't want to see it. I don't, and they leave her open on purpose. You see how many open shots that she had? They were not contested threes. And I just did not. I mean, sometimes they closed out, but obviously if I'm a Mercury coach, I'm not discouraging DeWanna, but I'm also not encouraging her either to shoot that 3. I don't want to see it. Again, I'm glad she hit 2 of them, but shooting 7 is too many. It's way too much. They shot overall as a team 38.9% from the 3, shooting 14 for 36 from the 3. So they took 36. They took more threes than the Aces did, and I anticipate that to continue to happen. I don't think either team relies on the 3 per se, which is why this is like a battle of the heavyweights. But I'm just looking here, like they decided for the Phoenix, they decided to not go that deep on their bench. DeWanna had 26 minutes. Sammy Whitcomb played 22 minutes, and she was hurt for a moment, but then she did end up returning, thank goodness, because that was like a really bad hyperextension that they replayed for us. It was really nasty. But Catherine Wellsped, 5 minutes. Lexi Held didn't even touch the court. Kalani Brown, Kiana Williams, they had 5 people who didn't even touch the court. Oh, 4 people. 4 people didn't even touch the court, and 1 barely touched it. So obviously they're relying heavily on their starters. Natasha Mack only played 16 minutes, and that's probably why they didn't get as many second chance points as they could have. They only had 3, 4. They only had 6 offensive rebounds. I mean, shout out to Aces for possibly boxing out and like preventing that. But I think Natasha Mack needs to get more burn. Yeah, she's not really a threat offensively, but she is that defensive presence in the paint that is totally necessary. She had 2 blocks. So I want to see more from Natasha Mack, and I really hope they give her more time and don't keep sacrificing her time for the sake of Dawana Bonner and her egregious threes. I would rather have Natasha Mack protecting my paint and rim from the 4-time MVP, from their backdoor cuts, I would force the Aces to shoot more threes. Push their tempo and force them to shoot more threes. I'm not saying they're not capable of making it, but they're not a team where you should let them settle and get comfortable in the offense in all areas of the court. Take away one of their favorite things, which is in the paint. Take that away from them. And you do that with Natasha Mack. Okay. So that was my thoughts on the game. Welcome to the chat. King Lion Crown said, I think it's a very bad matchup for the Las Vegas Aces. Jamie Hodds, welcome to the chat. Glad you're here. Said he played Dawana Bonner way too long, in my opinion. So I already know they're saying way too long. Played on way too long. Her, sorry, not him. He played her way too long. I agree. But yes, it was a really solid game, really fun game to watch. Again, I'm really excited for what is to come here tomorrow. Again, at 3 p.m. Eastern time on ESPN, the Las Vegas Aces host the Phoenix Mercury, the Battle of the Deserts. So we'll keep that going. And let us keep going. Again, if you haven't already, make sure you drop a like. Make sure you be sure to subscribe. Let me get a little comfortable here. There's like a glare. Okay. Drop a like. Make sure you drop a like, subscribe. And more importantly, drop your take. This is our time to talk ball. I love talking ball. If you know bull, you know ball. Let's keep going. Kelsey Mitchell. Okay. When she was on the free agency in 2024, she re-signed with the Indiana Fever. Notably, it was the president of the Indiana Fever on a podcast, Kelly Kroskopov. She was very crystal clear about how important it was for her team to bring Kelsey Mitchell back. And in Locked On Women's Basketball podcast, she said about referring to Kelsey, said she's our number one priority. Yes, we have the opportunity to core her, and it would be sort of irresponsible of me if we didn't utilize that opportunity. Which is really, I find that really rich and interesting because, oh, hold on, y'all. Camera phone. There we go. I find that really interesting considering Caitlin, nobody knew how hurt Caitlin was going to be last year when this was spoken. And we know that president is a damn lie because it's clear and obvious that they built the team around Caitlin. Why? Because when Caitlin went down, and I specifically remember this game, she went down to Seattle, and their next game was against the Sparks. They hosted the Sparks, and this was before the Sparks started to kind of figure themselves out. Kelsey Plum had just got traded on there, and they were still sorting themselves out. And they visited Indiana Fever, and they had Kelsey Mitchell playing the 1. And it looked like they had her trying to do what they would want Caitlin to do. Like the offense was still built around having Caitlin a part of it. It wasn't until they gave Ari McDonald more of a chance, slid Kelsey back to that 2 spot, and they started to find their groove again. But they lost that game against the Sparks, and Kelsey Mitchell did not look like her best self. Why? Because this Indiana Fever team's core is Caitlin, not Kelsey. And I'm not saying that because I believe that Caitlyn should be it. I'm saying that the president is full of hobbycock. I don't even know what hobbycock is, but she's full of it. And now the same thing, it's like deja vu is happening again this year. In 2025, Kelsey Mitchell is again on the free agency. And the Fever, now it's the Fever general manager, Amber Cox. She is saying pretty much the same thing that was said last year. And this is what the general manager said. I'm going to sound like a broken record from last year. So she's acknowledging what they were saying last year. She goes on to say, the priority will be Kelsey Mitchell and making sure she remains in a Fever jersey. If you're Kelsey Mitchell, if I'm Kelsey Mitchell, I hear them say that. And I'm like, y'all are lazy for one, because you're saying, oh, we said the same thing last year, even though we didn't truly mean it. Even though what ended up happening was if I'm Kelsey Mitchell, I carried, and she could be a humble queen. And I'm not coming from a place of this shorty's better than everybody. But Kelsey Mitchell literally carried. She literally played until her wheel fell off. And she gave them everything, even though they lied to her face and said that she's the core. Kelsey, she was like, yeah, I know you don't really believe what you're saying, but I believe what I'm going to do. I know I am the core, and I'm going to continue to show up as a core with or without Caitlyn. And now she managed to bring them all the way to the semifinals of 2025. 30-point game after 30-point game. Knees started going numb. Shorty can't even feel her legs no more. And the general manager is like being lazy and using lines from last year. Yeah, we're going to make her a priority. We want to make sure she stays in this jersey. Y'all are selfish. Because you know damn well when Caitlyn comes back, it's not going to be Kelsey Mitchell's team. It's going to be Kelsey Mitchell's team, but y'all are going to make it like it's Caitlyn's team. It's a facade. It's a phony. It's a fake. I do not appreciate it. I did not like that. Let me see what y'all saying. Kelsey, free Kelsey Mitchell. Free Kelsey Mitchell. We got a Furious Fever fan in the comments. Kelsey Mitchell's our bread and butter. Without her, our team is unable to contend for a championship like they were this year. I know. That's why the president of the Indiana Fever, the general manager of the Indiana Fever, and all the Fever fans are saying, oh, like, Kelsey Mitchell, please stay. We love you. You're a priority. But then when Caitlyn comes back, it's no more Kelsey Mitchell. It's all about Caitlyn. The bait and switch. I do not want Kelsey Mitchell to fall for the bait and switch anymore. She's a top 5 WNBA player in the league today. She needs to not be on this team anymore because all they're doing is taking advantage of her. They're taking advantage of her. And it's blatant, it's clear, and they're not even trying to hide the fact. Don't fall for it, Kelsey. Don't fall for it. She gets treated like a Robin. I love Tulip said that she gets treated. She is literally getting treated like a Robin. I'm trying to think of a duo where she's like Luigi to the Mario, but Luigi clearly, what would they be without Luigi? You feel what I'm saying? Like, what's another duo that where the second person is treated like that? Like they not the star. Like Takeoff was clearly the reason the Migos were great, but he wasn't the lead of the group, but he was the reason they were great. You see what I'm saying? I don't even know where I'm going with this. I know where I'm going with this, but let me not get off my rocker. I don't see it. So Secret says, I do not see any problem with CeCe and Mitchell. I agree. I don't see any problem with Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell. The problem I see is them lying to her and saying that she's a priority and she's the core. I have a problem with that. But then they act and they do something completely different. They say one thing, but their actions do not follow. So, should Kelsey Mitchell should Kelsey Mitchell give Indiana Fever another chance? What do y'all think? Another team could scoop her up. Another team could absolutely scoop her up, and it would be the best thing for them. Okay. Someone said, I think she's treated with a lot of respect in Indiana. I think that there's just a narrative that she's not respected. Henry T. Hurley Jr. said Sophie Cunningham was considered a bigger star than Kelsey Mitchell while playing only half the games in production. Show you where their priorities are. King Lion Crown said, I think she will remain in Indiana because of the relationship she has with her head coach. I like Stephanie White. I do think that Indiana's going to give her another year, or maybe she could be that person who stays there for a while. I mean, just look at the year that she had. So I think even though they lost, they won in a lot of different ways. But the value for Kelsey Mitchell just went way up, way up. But then it also goes to continuity. I didn't look at the free agency. I don't know the contracts, but Aaliyah, she's heading into her 4th year with Indiana. So continuity wise, I don't think they're going to keep. I don't know if it's a priority for them to keep them together. It's a priority for Caitlin to come back, and it's a priority for Kelsey Mitchell. Maybe Aaliyah Boston will be a priority. And I'm really curious, do these ladies, I can see how close they could be, and maybe staying together is important to them, but the front office don't care about that. It's a business at the end of the day. We're giving this front office way too much credit. It's like, this is not the Miami Heat. Now that is like a mafia. Them people stay together. Maybe this could be like that for the Indiana Fever, but I don't know. I don't see it. Okay. So I appreciate y'all for tuning in on this fine Saturday morning. I'm going to keep going. We're going to get to now we're going to move on to the WNBA Civil War. I'm being a little dramatic about it, but so are the women. That's what we're doing at this point, because it's been drama. Again, last night, Kathy Engelbert, a few, like 15 minutes before game 1, she went on a live press conference. And I don't have the clip audio for it, but I do have a article that I'm going to quote from that breaks down pretty much the largest issues that were addressed. Notably, Malika Andrews, second question right out the gate, asked Kathy Engelbert if what Nafisa said about the players should be getting on their knees and being grateful. When Nafisa allegedly claimed that's what Kathy had said, Kathy did not come outright and deny. She did not neither confirm or deny she said those things. What she did say is that the media is reporting inaccuracies. So when Malika said, "Did you in fact say this?" Kathy did not say yes or no. In fact, she looked over at the moderator with a face that was very frustrated, as if she's like, "Why did you call on Malika? This is not what I want to do." But she did mention that she read from her paper again, and she reiterated the disheartened comment. let me find specifically what she had said. She said, Kathy Engelbert said, I was disheartened to hear that some players feel the league and that I personally do not care about them or listen to them. If the players in the W don't feel appreciated and valued from the league, we have to do better, and I have to do better. So she took accountability for, she didn't necessarily take accountability, but she pretty much said, we hear what the players are saying and we stand by our efforts to live up to the change, the evolution of the game. We stand for player safety. We are committed to that. We're trying to reform as we do every year. This game is, she pretty much said, like, the game is, the physicality of the game is increased drastically this year, and now they have to meet to level it up and meet to match that level of intensity, stuff like this. And so then, and they're also, one of their resolutions is they are introducing this new state of the game committee, which is the league and the players union have meetings to, and people around the league come together in addition to the committee that's already established to review official calls and things like that, like officiating and safety and stuff. So now they're not going to have one committee, but they're going to have two. So she's was basically speaking to that, but directly speaking to Malika Andrews, in which she asked her, yes or no, did you say this? Kathy denied it, but what got interesting, as she was asked about Caitlin Clark and that $16 million comment that she made, right? And that's when Kathy said, no, flat out, no, I never said that about Caitlin. I never said. So on one hand, she did not acknowledge, confirm, or deny about players should get down on their knees. And then on the other hand, she said, no, I never said that about Caitlin. She said about Caitlin has been a transformational player in this league. She's been a great representative of the game. She's brought in tens of millions of new fans to the game. That's really interesting. I mean, I want to see what y'all are saying. I'm curious to see, like, why are you giving politically correct answers to one accusation, but then on the other hand, you're standing up for Caitlin. And on the panel, someone said this perfectly yesterday. Why isn't Kathy standing up for herself? Her character has been called into question, and she's not even standing up for herself. So does that give validity to what Fee accused of? Sure. But I'm going to say this, and I'll be so honest with y'all. Fee was snitching. And I feel like what Fee did was low down, y'all. I don't think it was cool at all. If Fee is privy to conversations, especially maybe at the negotiation table, and things could possibly get heated, that's why they're still in a deadlock. They still haven't reached a CBA agreement yet, the league and the players. If Fee is privy to conversations with Kathy, or even she got it secondhand from somebody else, throwing Kathy under the bus to get what you want, she fighting dirty, man. Fighting real dirty. And I the fact, and Fee, obviously what she says holds weight. So she's the leader, she's the owner of Unrivaled, and she's the a union, she's one of the union leaders. She's one of the best players in the league. And she just lost bad, and she got hurt. And all of that mixed together, you decide to sit down in front of the cameras and air your boss out and tell them and show and say that she said players should get down on their knees. I mean, she's exposing Kathy, but I think that was low down. She's pretty much showing the blueprint of what it's going to take for them to get what they want. And I just don't respect that. I'll be honest with y'all. I really don't respect it. I do not respect how she did that. Even if Kathy was a terrible person, I just don't, I don't know, y'all. Kathy's not the only one calling the shots. So it's like, why don't we just expose everybody then? I look, y'all getting y'all getting crazy in the chat. Listen, I don't feel sorry for Kathy. I feel sorry for anybody who would have to be in that position. I mean, she signed up for that position, but damn, Fee snitched on her though. Why are we looking at that? Why aren't we looking at these players? I think it would be more respectable if NECA were to have got up there and maybe made comments or maybe even alluded to it. Fee came right out as if she got a text message or something. It's like they're calling for Kathy's head. And I'm very curious, like, even if and I said this yesterday, if the WNBA were to take Kathy out of that position, I don't think the women would see any change because Kathy's not really the one calling the shots. It's the NBA owners that are calling the shots. Most of the league is owned by the NBA's owners. The same people who own the NBA own the WNBA. So taking Kathy out of the equation is going to expose how she's not the one calling the shots. Now, after you take Kathy out, now who are they going to come for to get what you want? That's the point I'm trying to make. Throwing Kathy under the bus, the owners don't give a damn. They don't give a damn about Kathy either. They probably think Kathy's a clown. But what I'm saying is, take her out the seat. They just going to find another person that's going to be similar to her. Nothing. That's not going to change nothing. That's the point I'm trying to make. What Fee did was dirty. She played dirty. And the only thing it's done is generate more hate for Kathy. What does that do for change? Calling Kathy a clown is not going to change nothing. The stuff is going to change because real change is necessary. But calling her a clown, I just felt like that was unnecessary. I don't think that I just didn't. Calling her out and throwing her under the bus like that only further enrages people. For example, Sophie Cunningham, and that's what I want to talk about. Okay, so Sophie said recently, and Sophie all year has been rebelling on her podcast about the officiating specifically, and now she's talking about the leadership. Because when she got hurt, her sister came out, and I had a whole episode on this, and she used the same thing, the same tactic that we see with Fee and her injury and her speaking out in disgust and outrage is the same tactic that was already used by Sophie's sister, Lindsay. When Sophie got hurt, she was calling for the heads of the officiating, the leaders, and I think she called them stupid. Like, they're getting real nasty after injuries and losses and stuff like that. And I mean, it makes sense, but we've seen this before. And Sophie just came out and said, there's a potential lockout. I promise you, we aren't going to play until they give us what we deserve. She said this on Thursday. She then says, that's kind of where it's headed, unfortunately, which would be the dumbest basketball decision business-wise ever, considering the momentum the W has. Yes, Sophie, it's not just dumb for the leadership, but it's dumb for y'all too. But you're like, we got to do what we got to do. I'm from Baltimore, and I think it was last year or the year before, there was the unions. The union went on strike, and the ports were closed. Them ports weren't closed for that long. The union people ended up getting what they wanted, which is really cool. It's looking like the WNBA women are taking this route. But calling out Kathy, I would have just leaked it to the media, an anonymous source or something. I don't know. It was bold of what Fee did, but it was definitely coming from an emotional place. Let me see the comments, see what y'all saying. Henry T. Hurley said, as someone who filed a complaint against a corporation, they retaliated with a 100-page plus hit piece. Fee did the best thing by hitting first. Okay. I see what you're saying. I've been a part of corporate too. I've been in positions where I felt like I was being taken advantage of. I was very frustrated. I've called out leadership behind the doors, and I've even been in meetings standing up for what I, believe in. And there's still a way to do it with some class and some grace. So they wanna start riots. I mean, if you read the comments in the section, it's nothing but Kathy hate. There's nobody like advocating at this point. It's just nothing but hate. That's all I'm saying. Like it I'm looking at it maybe from like a Martin Luther King perspective of like, let's make sure we're staying focused on the goal here. Not exposing Kathy, because exposing Kathy saying y'all should be on your knees grateful. I mean, yeah, that's dirty, but it does show the attitude of maybe what the league is thinking, but they're not too far maybe how the delivery, nobody should have said it like that. But I'm just saying, like, both sides have a lot to offer each other. When did it like and I would love for it to get to a place like that. Not like y'all wouldn't be nothing without us. No, y'all wouldn't be nothing without us. No, y'all should be grateful. No, y'all should be grateful. You feel what I'm saying? So I hate that it's gotten to that point. I would just love to see this handled and resolved and actually to move on from this dumb stuff. I see some Sullivan in the chat. You funny, man. Seagazer said, I think that it will not be a lockout. They will meet an agreement in between. Each side will make some compromises. I hope so. The way the level of criticism, scrutiny, conviction that has risen to, it's almost given me the impression that because one thing that Kathy also said was we're going to continue to negotiate in good faith, right? I don't think Fee showed good faith by exposing what Kathy said, like negotiating in good faith. I just hope I just hope if the players do get paid more that they don't and that they actually like really continue playing at a high level and I'm kind of curious to see like what excuses will be left for people to pull out the air when things aren't going well for players once they do start making money. You know what I mean? So I'm excited to see that and I love that for them, but I really hope that their integrity stays intact because money's evil. Fame, clout, money, notoriety. I hope that the game doesn't get tainted and people start taking advantage or granted, the money that they do receive. Unfortunately, we do see it in professional athletes. So they working this hard for the money. I really truly hope they rise up and play good basketball. Like y'all, we gonna need to see some great basketball. Okay? Like phenomenal basketball. Like we don't want to see 60-point games no more then. I'll be honest with you. I don't want to see the average points a game for a women's game is 80 something. I'll be honest with y'all. I would love to see them start hitting the hundreds. How would that happen? They're making more shots. Maybe. The game continues to get better. I see the talent improving. I see the skill improving. But I really truly hope that the entertainment aspect stays and it remains. Because that's why at the end of the day the men get paid so much. It was really entertaining and sometimes it still is. Women's basketball last night was super entertaining. But then there's a lot of times we're seeing air balls and turnovers to a high degree. And so I would just love to see the level of talent and skill and continue to rise as well as they get paid more. So we'll see. We will see. Okay, so again, if you don't know already, the lockout is October 31st. Well, not the lockout, sorry. The deadline for this agreement is October 31st. Kathy did say that there could be an extension. Some other notable things she discussed. The status of the negotiation. She said regarding the deadline that it is a real deadline from that perspective. Kathy said, we have extended deadlines in the past. She said, I know last time when I was only a couple days on the job, we got to an extension and got a deal done. So I feel confident that we can get a deal done. But if not, I think we could do an extension. So that just leads me to believe she's not even sure when they'll reach the agreement, and that yes, they're negotiating, but they've been negotiating for months now. And she's like, I'm confident we can get it done, because why would she show any type of hesitation? But then she says, but if not, I think we could do an extension. I don't feel confident that they'll reach the deadline, but I do feel confident, and this is me saying that it won't be a lockout for too long. They'll start to lose money, man. Then really how are they going to get paid? Like, for real. And maybe leadership's holding out for that. Cause who are the fans? So I also want to put this out there, that if they were to have a lockout and then the fans can't even watch, are the fans gonna only blame leadership, or are we gonna hold the women accountable a little bit too? Engelbert said higher salaries for good players is a goal both sides here. We continue to meet to have important conversations with the Players Association. I want to reiterate that we want much of the same things that the players want, Engelbert said. We want to significantly increase their salary and benefits, while also supporting the long-term growth and viability of the WNBA. Now, for officiating reviews, again, they're coming up with this new committee called the State of the Game Committee, and they're reforming the officiating, which includes players, coaches, general managers, and others. And what Kathy said about officiating, she said, I think it's pretty clear that we're misaligned currently on what our stakeholders want from officiating, Engelbert said. We have heard loud and clear that we have not lived up to that needed alignment. So she said, we hear y'all. I don't know if she never mentioned about agreeing or anything. She just said, yeah, we hear y'all. Yeah, we hear you. Cool. Just know y'all are heard. Kathy then goes on to say the league needs to look at good aggressive play that we recognize has evolved into rough play, and how to calibrate the line for legal and illegal content to ensure player safety and exciting competition. Now, Engelbert's job status was also questioned. She denied reports that she'll be leaving the WNBA after the new CBA is finished. Kathy said, I've never been a quitter. I'm entering my 40th year, actually this month, in business. Never been a quitter. I've never shied away from tough situations. So, notably, Engelbert has delivered on many of her promises since coming into the league in 2019. She's added 6 expansion teams by 2030 and secured a new major media rights deal for the next decade that will bring in more than $2.2 billion. Engelbert has also had the league pay for a full charter program. Again, that was a $25 million endeavor this season, that in hopes that the play and so to make transportation easier for the players, and that the players hope will be added to the new CBA to address concerns about issues ranging from safety to travel time. And she's aware there's more work to be done. So I see it getting better. I have hope. My hope isn't gone. My hope is not lost for Kathy. It's really not. And it's unfortunate that it's gotten to where it has gotten. And I'm by no account saying that I feel sorry for her. I don't feel sorry for anybody. But I'm such a big picture thinker, and I really hope that both sides can reach an agreement soon, so we can go back to just talking ball. Anyway, okay, so let us move on from the Civil War, and we are going to wrap up this show talking about the NBA free agency, because there's still people in this free agency that I'm like, damn, why are they still there? What's going on? I've had an episode about this before, but Russell Westbrook is one of those notable players that is still on the free agency. And it's really starting to concern me. Y'all not concerned? The season starts in like 3 weeks. On the 21st of October, the season starts, and Russell Westbrook is still not signed. He's 36 years old, going to be 37 heading into the new season, or around the time the new season starts. And he's been in the league for 17 years. He was previously signed to the Denver Nuggets. And his value was low, around $3 million. So it's right up there with a lot of other just random people in the league that aren't signed. And that's really surprising to me that Russell Westbrook is still on the league. To me, I mean, it's still on the waiver wire. I think he brings value to a team. Now, depends on what type of team it is, okay? But him coming off the bench for any team, especially if they like to push the tempo, it wouldn't be a bad thing to have Russell Westbrook. He still was an MVP of the league. You know, he's still a high caliber player. So to see that he's not signed to a team is crazy to me. I think I don't know. So undervalued and underappreciated, I think those are two separate things. And that's why I included them. But I wanted to put Russ into that category of underappreciated, because we know Russell Westbrook's value as a player, as in terms of money and signing, has pretty much been consistent since, his prime. But I do think he is underappreciated considering he's still on the waivers. Now, I don't know too much behind the scenes and if this is his choice or if maybe teams have offered him and he hasn't signed because he's not into it. But I am kind of curious at this point where Russ stands on whether or not he still is contending for a championship. Is he just playing to put food on the table, or is he playing because he really loves the game? And I'm leaning towards more that he loves the game so much. He always has given me the impression he has passion for it. So just to see him still on the waivers is like, damn, we're really headed into an era where Russell Westbrook is on the waivers. Damn, man. So I hope a team grabs him. Do I have an idea or thought of what that team could be? I don't know. I don't know. Let me think of a fast-paced team that might need a veteran guard. The Trailblazers, put them alongside Drew? Am I tripping? Okay, hold on. Let's see. Sign him to the Spurs. Bring him off the bench behind De'Aaron? No? Okay. I'm just saying, seeing Russell on here sucks. Okay. Other notable people on the waivers, I see Malik Beasley's on the waiver wires, and I know he recently got cleared from those gambling accusations brought upon him from the FBI. And so he's been cleared of that. And he was recently on the Detroit Pistons, and we know how great of a season they just had. But I would say Malik Beasley, since what's his name? Jaden Ivey went down, he was like their number 2, number 3 behind Kate Cunningham. And then he was also playing alongside Tim Hardaway Jr. And then they even had Dennis Schroeder on that team. But Malik definitely was a starter. So, and he's only 28 years old. He's been in the league for 9 years. And his value is considerably the highest value on this list of free agency. He's top of the list on people as far as like value money wise, right? And so, I mean, he had that run with the Bucks. I think he's a decent piece that you could put on your team. Is he inconsistent? Absolutely. But to see Malik Beasley still on the waiver wires is daunting to me, and I'm curious to see what you all think. If you haven't already, make sure you drop a like, subscribe if you have enjoyed this content today. If not, I hope to see you next time on a title that might grab your attention, on some news that you might want to see. Again, I'm Brianna Bull, the host. And if you know Bull, you know ball. So let's keep going with the free agency. Some other notables that I see. Tristan Thompson is out there. I don't really care for Tristan Thompson. So But if you're looking for a what's the word I'm looking for? An average center who's just mediocre, and you could put him in your third string, maybe your second string. If one guy in your second string goes down, you can move him to the second string. But Tristan Thompson, he's a big guy that if you're desperate for a big, go ahead and pick him up. Taj Gibson. Oh, Alec Burks. Now, Alec Burks is 34 years old, and he's obviously been on a lot of teams. He's been in the league for 14 years now. He was on the Pistons, and he recently just was on Miami. Like he does like teams definitely leverage him often in trade deals, and they usually package him up. So I still think he's like a big body. Is he undervalued or underappreciated? I think he's more so undervalued probably, but I really hope to see him land on the team. He's not awful. Now, Cameron Payne. I've had arguments with people about Cameron Payne. I think he's trash. He's left-handed, so I will give him some grace there. But on the Knicks, he'll when Jalen Brunson wasn't available, or even before RJ left. But for the most part, he was coming off the bench, third string. But we know how Thibs is. There's malpractice going on. But yeah, he's on the free agency too as well. And I'm not surprised that the Knicks haven't re-signed him yet, because with this new team that they're building, like with Jordan Clarkson coming off the bench and stuff like that, you don't need Cameron Payne unless Jordan's going to get hurt. But Cameron isn't that guy who makes a huge difference. Maybe a team like the Brooklyn Nets or even I see with the Hornets, but the Hornets just signed so many good guards. They don't need anybody like Cameron Payne. I'm trying to think of a team that might need a guard who can shoot the ball. He just does not impress me. He doesn't do anything else. He can shoot. They got Monte Morris on there. Monte Morris is only 30. He's been with the league 8 years. Coming from Phoenix, very underwhelming season. But then again, Phoenix as a whole had an underwhelming season. So there's that. I see Jay Crowder out there. Yeah, he's getting really old. Talon Horton Tucker. Now he's on the waivers. He's only 24 years old, and he was recently on the Bulls. I think Talon is again that third string guy that comes off the bench. I can anticipate him possibly getting signed to a team. You know what? Who's on the waiver wires that I'm like, damn man, why is he on here? Bol. I think he just needs a team. He is underappreciated and undervalued. Bol. When the Phoenix did give him burn, he was solid. I mean, I don't understand why he's being thrown to the wolves like this instead of poured into. I really need to understand why Bol is not given more of a chance. Talk to me, y'all. Like, I don't get it. Why do teams not believe in Bol? He's 25 years old, about to be 26, been in the league for 6 years. 6 years, and he still hasn't lived up to his potential at all. But a lot of it is because he's not even given the opportunity. So I would really love to know why Bol is on the free agency still. Another person on the free agency I'm really shocked to see, and he's going to be a sleeper, is Lonnie Walker V. He's 26 years old, about to be 27, 7 years in the league. He was previously on Phoenix, but before that, he was on Brooklyn, I think. I think he'd be a great fit anywhere. He was playing alongside Dorian Finney-Smith, and I feel like Lonnie Walker has a lot to offer. He's he's listed as a shooting guard, but he's really big, like long. So he could potentially guard a forward if you needed him to, maybe like a 3, a small forward, So Lonnie, I think he has a great handle on the ball. He has a decent ability to score. I like his pull-up jumper. I just don't understand why he's still on waivers, but I think that's a sleeper. And anybody, like I said, who grabs him, they're in for one. The one thing about him is probably his injury. I think he does get hurt a little bit. So let's see. Brandon Boston Jr. So he was on the New Orleans Pelicans. The New Orleans Pelicans, and he's 23 years old, and he's only been in the league for 4 years. But he had solid value coming off the bench for New Orleans. And you know how with DeJounte, who went down, and they're always plagued with injuries. I can understand now that they got Jordan Poole, DeJounte's still there, Herbert Jones. They just got a lot of guys, and I can see why he's on free agency still and why he hasn't re-signed, because I think they just got a lot more guys to work with this year. They might not need him, and he's not like an X factor, but he's not terrible either. So I think he's undervalued, and a team would definitely do well with him. Same for Delano Batum. For some reason, for the Portland Trailblazers, he was a guy that was super consistent, and he's not like a superstar, but when he's out there, he contributes in more ways than one. So, he's still in the free agency. I think Delano, he could be on a team like the Celtics and do really well, especially with the rebuild that they're doing. They need a guy like Delano that's out there and can contribute from a guard capacity. They need it for sure. Well, they need more bigs than anything, but just looking. Markelle Fultz. Okay, shout out to Markelle Fultz because he's left-handed, first round draft pick. And he's been in the league for 8 years now. Last team he was on was Sacramento, but before that, he was the starting point guard for Orlando, but then injury just plagued this man, and I really think he would have had a good shot. And I think when he first came to the league, they tried to change his shot, and just injury has just kept him on the back burner all these years. So he's looking for a team he has not been signed yet. And damn, man, he's just another one of those guards who just had so much potential and then just tanked it. But yeah, he's still on there. Oh, Trevelin McQueen. Shout out to Trevelin McQueen because he's from Baltimore. And when Orlando had all their injuries last year, he actually played in a couple games and he did really well. But it's politics of the league, and he didn't touch the court really too much, especially once Franz came back, Paolo came back. Yeah, that man didn't touch the court, okay? So now they're rebuilt. They're rebuilt with Desmond Bane, and even Tyus Jones. Guys like Trevelin McQueen is on free agency, but I hope he gets signed because again, he's from Baltimore. Shout out to Trevelin McQueen. Hope he gets it. Everybody else like is old man. Patty Mills is on the free agency. Even though Patty old, that Clippers team was like, yeah, we know we old, but we don't want Patty. Like that's taking it too far. Shout out to Patty Mills though. But yeah. Oh, what if Russell Westbrook went to the Pistons? Would that work? With because Jaden Ivey's definitely probably coming back. And then you got Jalen Duren, Kate Cunningham. I'm sure I'm missing other people. Tim Hardaway's still on there. Dennis is gone. So Russell, they don't need him. I'm saying anything just to keep Russell Westbrook in the league. Okay. B10's, but going back to that Lonnie Walker take, Walker has tunnel vision. That's fair. I don't think I don't ever really celebrate his playmaking abilities. But yeah, well, it's been a pleasure, everyone. Great show, really simple show, quick show. I'm on that road to 600 subscribers. So if you're new here and you like the content and you like to see more, make sure you drop a sub, and also like the content. I really enjoy doing this and speaking about basketball. It brings me a lot of joy, and I'm just grateful to be able to have the privilege to talk basketball with you all. And I love hearing your comments as we move forward. Again, make sure you catch game 2 of the WNBA Finals tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern time. We will be having a panel reaction post game, and we'll go live. We'll go live on my channel, but it's for the Man Down Sports podcast. It's Man Down Sports Podcast, but we have panels. Okay, so Friday night we do panels, and we talk about basketball in general, and then on Saturday or Sunday they have a football panel where they speak about to the football lovers. And then we recently just added the WNBA panel, where it's a panel full of women. It's all women. Now, sometimes we might have a guest and it could be a male, but for the most part, the core is all women. Me, Dom from Sports Tea, Kaija from her show, and then we have Angela, who goes like live on Facebook and TikTok and Instagram and stuff like that. But all of those ladies, oh my gosh, it's been such an honor and pleasure talking with them about basketball. It's so much fun. And so we'll be going live tomorrow to talk about for game 2 reactions and in game 3 predictions. So I look forward to doing that. But I appreciate everyone who stayed throughout the show. Thank you for joining. B10 says, you're a new subscriber, man. I appreciate that. Thanks for your support. And I will be excited to see what you bring to the table moving forward. So again, as always, I appreciate y'all. If you know bull, you know ball, and I will see y'all in the next show. Take care.